Have you ever gotten to the point where what you're making is just not challenging anymore? That's kind of where I'm at right now. And that's why in today's video, I'm doing something a little bit different. Usually I'm pretty confident that I can do a project. People give me ideas or a request to make something. I usually sort of perceive whether or not I can manage it. And I usually have, I guess, an image in my mind of, the outcome of what I'm expecting it to be when I'm given that challenge. Today, though, I'm trying something a little bit different. Instead of being productivity, goal oriented, sort of just pumping out a whole bunch of stuff and coming up with a design and making several of the same design. I'm going to try and go more towards sort of the artistic side of things, which again, I'm a little bit apprehensive because I'm not seeing the end result in my mind of how it's going to look. And usually I can, which kind of gives me the feeling that I can succeed at whatever I'm going to be starting out a project on. Now, I usually don't show the whole progress in my videos of learning and errors that I might have made. Today, this is videotaping chronologically, so this is the actual first video. Haven't done anything other than I did make the design on the computer because there was a lot of little details. I'll show you that after because I didn't even videotape it because I thought, maybe this is even a no-go if I can't even do that part. And I don't want to spend, hours of videotaping stuff that I'm not going to be using. So I'll sort of backtrack on that aspect of things. But today I'm actually going to be using the laser and I'm going to be cutting out. I'm going to try and replicate this image that I've made with AI and edited. And it's going to be looking more like a mosaic slash stained glass look, but instead of glass or resin or anything like that, I'm using wood. So we'll see if it works out. And then this step of my learning progress is really, this is just a lower level image that I want to try. That's the first stage. Because I do want to get up to this level of the full outcome of what I want to create. So this is just sort of this first step of seeing if I can get this part looking the same as that image. Then I know I'll be on the right track. So who knows? I might be just stuck at this level or can't even succeed at this level and that'll be it. Or I might, it works pretty good. I might need to do a bit more practice. I know I can sort of see this one in my mind, but I just can't see this one in my mind yet. So that's something I need to work on internally myself. And hopefully I can get that final image in my mind so that I know that I can succeed at this project. So hope you come along with the go along for the ride. It'll probably be a short series of videos. And without further ado, let's get to work. So I'm going to use the laser to start with. Again, I'm going to cut out that mosaic design. And I'm going to use just this 1/8 inch birch plywood that I had left over from other projects. I'm probably going to try and get around this size. I usually would try a smaller piece first just to try it out. But thing is with this design, the smaller I go, the harder it will be. So I'm going to go large and it should make it a little bit easier to actually get the final look. Now, as with the mosaic, and you can see in the image, I would probably have to try and cut all the different pieces from different pieces of wood so that the grain orientation is a little bit different. But for today's practice, I'm just going to keep it straightforward, use the one piece and then stain them or paint them. I'm not sure yet if I have all the stain colors that match or similar to what we have in the image. But if I need to paint, then I'll go painting and then it really doesn't matter about the texture as much. The staining will, but again, I just want to see if it's doable and what it looks like in the end. For today's practice, I'm just going to do a straightforward cutout, staining and painting, and then gluing it up and see how it comes out. So let's get to it. So I have the wood put in place. Now again, it's the 1/8 inch birch plywood. Now I had this plywood from another project and I actually did not like this plywood because it wasn't a very good quality for laser cutting because you can find some knots in between the layers that end up causing issues with the cutting. So I'm turning it at max that I can actually cut at speed wise, and hopefully it won't have any issues because it's a real pain when there's a knot inside and it doesn't come, the pieces don't come loose. especially with the type of design that this has. It has very thin pieces and so forth. So I'm hoping it does not cause an issue, but we'll give it a go. I'm really liking the look of this so far. I'm looking forward to giving it some color and seeing what what comes out of it. I might put some resin, clear resin over top once I do get all the colors, just to make it pop more, and it'll give it maybe that look of stained glass as well. I'm not sure, but we'll give that a try. We'll see if we get to that point. But for now, I'm going to have to pull this all out and make sure I don't lose any pieces. I might have to cut some of the new little pieces here, because it might fall down and it'd be a pain to try and find, so I might have to recut them. I did make there were some mistakes in my design. As I noticed, this piece here, I had not have it in there for whatever reason, and the mouth was kind of weird, and I think I might have messed it up, so I might have to cut a new piece for that as well. But all in all, it came out looking pretty good. Hopefully all these cut out really right through. I'm just going to check a little bit here before I pull it out, because if it doesn't, I don't want to move my piece of wood because I might just, but I think we're good. I think everything, except for this one right there a little bit, is coming out, and we have ourselves this part here. It looks pretty cool. I mean, even that looks pretty cool, I think. Yeah, I'm really liking this. Now it's time to transfer all that over to this board so I can do the staining. It's going to take a little while. Okay, so I have a whole bunch of stains here lined up. And I have some that are more in the light whitish browns, and then I have the dark browns to a bit lighter browns, and then I have the gray tones, and I have one that's a bit blue. A couple of them are a little bit blue, and of course I have my black. I hopefully have enough black for this part here. And so of course, using stain, it's not going to be as bright as the image that I had. It's going to be more of a washed out look. But I'm hoping that, again, if I did put the epoxy resin over top, it should help pop the colors a little bit more. Again, it's not going to be exactly like the picture, I understand that, but I just want to try and get a good, that it still looks good using the stain colors for this project. Anyways, the other option the next time would be to try and use paint. And doing it that way would be cool to choose to use sort of dyes or homemade dyes from the vegetables or leftover vegetables. I have done a video on that before if you want to check that out, where I used different vegetables to make some dyes, but it takes time, and for this project I do want to try, and it takes a lot of colors, so I would have to really make a lot of different dyes. So for today's project, we'll get going. I'll probably put the stuff in different little cups, and I'll have some paint thinner as well, or some thinner, and that way I could always, make the colors a bit lighter than they are if it's too dark. Like the chocolate brown is pretty dark. Don't have much in the way of in between, so I'll have to play around. We'll see how it comes out. Let's get moving.
Cause this
Ooh, you don't see me here at all. Sorry about that. I thought I was going to be in the image. So, got it down to staining all the pieces. It took a little longer than, well, actually, I can't say it took a little longer. I kind of expected it would take me, the full day to do the cutting out and then staining it all. So I'm quite happy it didn't take me the whole day. It still, it took me maybe a couple of hours to do all the staining. The difference is, I'm going to go down a bit lower here. The difference is, I had to sort of do some playing around with the stain just to get it lighter and darker because I didn't have all the tones of stain that I would be required for this. So I played around with it. I didn't have any green, so I actually ended up using just some resin dye, and it actually worked quite well. Whoops. It actually worked quite well. That might be something I might be looking into because that box, I forget how much we paid for it. It only took a couple of drops to make the color. And I actually kind of like it, so that way I could have had like the different blues and things like that. That would have been kind of cool. I did have blue stain, but I'm thinking it would have been nicer, a little bit more pop to it if I had used the resin tint instead. So, but this is one. So I'm up to this stage now. I'll let it dry. Then I'll have to glue it all down. And then, as I mentioned, I'm pretty sure I'm just going to put a good coat of epoxy resin over it, clear coat, just to give it a little bit more pop to it and some shine. And then we'll see what that comes out as. With the magic of video, you'll see that in the next step. But for me, it'll actually be the next, probably tomorrow. So see you back in a bit. Okay, so I'm going to use the same piece of wood that I was staining on top of as the backing for the stained glass or mosaic cutouts, and that way I can glue it onto there. The stain has dried. It's not the next day, actually. It came out to the shop this evening, so I'll cut this out and we'll start gluing it up. Got the piece of wood cut out should be the same size as this piece here, so I'm going to take that out, and it should fit on there exactly the same because I used the outside of this design as the cutoff marks, so it looks good. I don't think I need to put too much glue because I will be putting epoxy resin over top of it after. And oops, I'm not sure if you're seeing all this. And I'm not sure, yeah, so if I'm going to put epoxy resin, it's going to soak in there and attach between the cracks onto the MDF board. So I'm not too worried, but I will glue it down sufficiently enough. But I'm not going to go too crazy in trying to get all the little nicks and crannies to try and glue. So the glue up is done. This piece here keeps coming up now though. Of course, there's always got to be one piece. Alright, so all the glue is done and it's the next day and it's nice and dried up, so I just need to get a little bit of specks off there. Some pieces, this one's stuck up a little bit, but I think we'll be fine. Little edges sometimes, they just sort of roll up because of the characteristic of this birch plywood. So now I just need to set up the table and get it ready for some epoxy. We'll mix up some epoxy, pour it over, and I might have to do 2 coats just again to get these little elevations done properly. Of course, it's going to soak into all those little cracks, nooks and crannies. Probably going to have a lot of bubbles. So I'll have to make sure I fix all that. And then, yeah, we'll be all done. Let's get mixing. So every once in a while, I have a little bit of a roadblock when it comes to doing resin epoxy. I think my resin is getting old, and it's after I stirred it, ends up having little crystals in it. I haven't looked it up if that's a common issue or is maybe something that I'm doing wrong, but yeah, it's not coming out as clean and smooth as I'd like it to be. And so I'm having a little bit of challenge. I'll have to do another coat over top, and hopefully that's going to help. But the other part is that I didn't realize that there was a little crack, of course, between the layers of the glue up that I've done, so some of it has seeped out and it's not looking good right now, but I'm going to do another coat. It's been about 4 hours since I've done the first coat, and I should be able to do another coat over top of that. I'm going to have to tape those edges because I think they're actually still open as well. So I'm going to do that first, and then I'll mix up a new batch, and we'll pour another layer, and hopefully it'll hide all that crystallization that's sort of sticking on the top of this current stage, and of course fill in the areas that ended up where it's seeped out and it's just sort of very thin there. So here's crossing the fingers that it's all going to work out in the end. So I actually did a third coat, and I also had to look it up on the internet about the crystallization in my resin. So one thing, yeah, from with time it can crystallize, especially the part A. And the best thing to do is to heat up the part A in warm water, so to be at least 55 degrees Celsius. So that's what I did, really hot, warm water, and it definitely did the trick. So here we have the results. So this is day 3 of this project. I ended up having to do a third coat of the epoxy, and this is the final result. It came out pretty good. I can't say it's 100%. If I were to give it a mark out of 100, I would say it's probably around like an 82%. Just because there's still some little bumps, and I do see a couple little bubbles, but again, I think it's going to get, it's a pass. I'd say maybe an 80%. So that's where I'm up to right now. So now you get to get a bit of a look. It's not the best to see because of the background. And of course, with the epoxy sort of spilling over, that kind of attached these little spacers that I put on there. Hopefully I'll be able to get the main one off easier. So right now what I'm going to do is going to sand off the edges, make sure I get this off, clean off the back, and then I'm going to make some kind of frame for it. So that's the next step. I was thinking about putting a frame around this, but seeing that the image itself already has this frame look to it, I tried some pieces of wood around it to see, whether or not how it would look. It looked kind of weird because it'd be like a frame around a frame. So I'm just going to leave it as is, and but I'm just going to probably stain the edges so that the wood doesn't show as much. And I think we'll call it a completed project at this point in time. And but I'm going to make a stand for it because I've been asked to see if I was willing to give a project to a fundraiser, and so that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to donate this to a fundraiser, and hopefully they can make some money off of it rather than me trying to sell it or something like that. It doesn't really fit in our house for the decor, so hopefully someone else will like it and find a place for it, and maybe it'll help for the for the fundraiser. So I'm going to make a stand for it, and then we'll I should stain the back or paint it because it kind of looks crappy right now with this MDF. If I'd known it wasn't putting a frame, I would have made a nicer piece of wood at the back. But so I'll do some finishing touches, and then we'll do the B-roll of the finished project. Okay, wait a minute, we're not done yet. I do want to show you how we came up the image and how we edit it for the laser. So I tend to use Gemini most of the time just for AI tools, and they do have the new text to image generator, and it had some pretty cool outcomes, but it really wasn't what I was looking for. I tried different variations and different prompts and so forth, just wasn't getting what I was hoping to get. So I decided to try a different AI software, which is OpenAI, and I definitely got what I was looking for there. At first, prompts weren't exactly what I was looking for there. You can see the history from the right to the left. I'll just show you again. I'm just going to use the same prompt that I used originally, and you'll see the outcome. Now you do have a few, it's just a free membership that I tried. You only have a few credits that you can use, and 2 credits for an image, so it's not so bad. Depending on how much how much AI you want to use, it could be more than that, but you'll see here it's kind of going in the same direction of what I was looking for using that prompt. So all in all, pretty cool tool. OpenArt from OpenArt AI, and yeah, not so bad. So that's the image I got, and then after that, there's still some more work to be done. You can't just use it like that. So I transferred it over to Canva because I really want to get some contrast in the image so that I can actually use it in Lightburn, and that's why I have it there. As you noticed, I already edited it, but I'll show you somewhat what I did. I just used a black and white filter to get it, of course, black and white so that I can see the lines clearly. Of course, this is still not where we wanted it to be. Had to play around with the settings a little bit to try and get what I have on the top. Essentially, I think I tried the different black and white filters to see if one of those will do the trick. In the end, I think the first one was still the best. And then I would go into the editing of the image to change the brightness and so forth. So just using the brightness and the contrast and the highlights and shadows and whites and blacks and all those kind of things, you get the kind of look that you're looking for. So I played around with that for a little while, and then as you can see, it doesn't take that long. Try to get it as much showing the white and seeing the black lines is the main thing. The other part was to make sure that those lines are as crisp as possible. If I were to zoom in, which I didn't here, but if I were to zoom in, it would be fairly pixelated at this point. So I did put it through their upscaler on Canva as well. And because I think the first time I did it, I didn't do the upscaling. I went to Lightburn, and it really didn't work out at all. So once I did the upscaling, it definitely made a huge difference. Now you can see it has taken a little while for it to upscale, but all in all, probably doing this whole process, the longest part was trying to get images that I was, what I envisioned using the AI generator. But here you go. And I got it into Lightburn now. This is our Lightburn software. Brought it in there, used the trace tool, And you just want to zoom in and try to see, change the settings here as well. Get it as close as you can. You're not going to get it perfect, again, because of all the different, you can see the sort of dark shadowing in there as well. Here, I turn on the check mark to fade the image so I can see the lines a little bit better if it's lining up to those black lines. And it's not too bad. You can see that there's still a few little, like that one there is not where I want it to be. So you have to play around to try and get it so that it fills in, but then you'd have to check the rest of the image again, make sure it didn't mess it up somewhere else. And all in all, it didn't, it doesn't take very long using Lightburn. Now, where for the tracing, anyways, once you've got it traced, just move the image out of the way here. You'll see that there's a little bit of cleaning up to be done. You can see a lot of little dots and things like that here, there. So you just want to make sure that we clean that up. So first thing you got to do is, which I forgot here, is to ungroup the traced image by that button there. Highlight the piece of parts that you want to get rid of, all these little dots. You just, you want to have a little system to start at one corner and work your way along and get rid of all these little imperfections so that it doesn't cut out little holes everywhere, which one doesn't look so good on the picture, but also just takes a lot of time out of the cutting as well. So just want to make sure you clean that all up. Then the other part is you'll see like little things where, you might have areas that are popping out or the lines are not the way you should be, like this one here. It's got a little drip on it or something. So fix that up first by using the node feature here. So now you can see all the points, all the node points. So again, you just want to highlight the nodes you want to get rid of. Click D to delete them. You can do them individually as well. Click on each node specifically and hit D to get rid of them. Here you can, then you can try and fix the lines a little bit to make them nice and rounded the way you want. You can click on the node and click S to smooth them out. And then still play around with the angles, depending on how much you want to look at it, how much you want to, clean it up. So go around the whole image like that. And then, yeah, you'll be all done. That took maybe about 10, 15 minutes just to go throughout the image. It wasn't too bad. Again, using the upscale definitely made a huge difference in this job, because the other way it would have been, all the lines were all crooked and really messed up. So definitely wanted to have upscaled as much as possible. Now, whether or not this is the good way of doing it or the best way of doing it, I don't know. This is just the way I learned or taught myself of how to do this stuff. And it works for me. It doesn't take a whole lot of time. It's not like we're doing that many designs. We do one or two, here and there. So it's not like we're spending hours and hours making new designs and updating them. So for me, it worked. There might be better ways. If so, go ahead and leave a comment down below. Love to hear from you all. And yeah, and then that's it. And then we would just connect this to the laser and start cutting, of course. And I hope that helps some people out to see the process of making these designs. Again, using AI. Definitely, I wouldn't have been able to draw this myself. AI is definitely a big help. So kudos to that. And then we're ready to now just make it all in one. And then you just start lasering away. Make sure your settings are set right for the type of wood that you're using. And you're good to go. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you haven't already, please subscribe, and hope to see you here again at Dusty Workbench.